Okay, now the first fun technique of getting a higher amount per ad or the amount that you want, and also getting them to buy it now is using a technique called split strike. Some of you are familiar with this, but it's always good to refresh. And I bet that many of you have forgotten how to do this, or maybe you had learned about this from earlier guides of mine and it was just too confusing because split strike works really well. Many people's cards they can attribute to using split strike when they were starting out, but it's a little complex, and that's why it's in the last installment here, where it's the more advanced stuff. Split strike is where you're going to take, instead of let's say you're doing a 10,000 piece mailing, you can technically do two 5,000 piece mailings out of that. If you went back to the very first installment we talked about, splitting it 10K, it costs like, I think it's $50 more for me to print two 5,000 piece mailers instead of 10,000. And it's a super good strategy because then you can get a lower amount. If someone doesn't want to buy a full ad, they can buy a smaller ad. They can only be on 5,000. That frees up a space for another one. So you can split a card up into two, but in split strike, you're going to split up into four zones. So when you present your card to people, you are going to show them that you have four mailing zones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Zone 1 might be the northern end of town. Zone 2 might be the southern end. Whatever. You look at your little map, get the street names on it. You're gonna essentially sell them on one zone. It's easier to sell them on one zone so they can justify the cost of the other zones. This works great when you're trying to get, let's say, $1,000 per ad. But we're going to use 500 right now. Let's say that you want to charge $800, $1,000, or whatever, but you're going to be happy getting $500. What you can do is split you're not actually mailing to four zones. You're still only mailing to two 5,000 piece mailers or one whole 10,000 piece mailer, but you're pitching it as four different zones. And each zone will have roughly 2,500 people. It's easier to convince people of the value of 2,500 people at 10 cents each, which is $250, than it is to tell someone it's $1,000 to go to 10,000 people. So by breaking it up into four zones, 2,500 people, you got all the streets, it's a good neighborhood, good big chunk of people, it's only $250. If they want all four, it's $1,000, 250, 500, 750, 1,000. So that's how you can justify a $1,000 ad, by breaking it up into four. And if they just want one part of town, it's $250. It's an easy $250. The strike part of it, that's splitting. The strike part of it is where you tell them if you want to get on the card now, you want to get this card out, you want to get people on it, you are willing to give them a free zone. So if they take zone 1, you'll give them zone 2 for free. If they take zone 1 and 3, you'll give them 2. So each zone they buy, you'll give them one free. Then they end up getting it for only $500. If they only buy one zone, you give them one zone free, and you're doing the 5,000 piece mailer, the split part of the 10,000. If they buy two zones, you're giving them two. So in the end, you're getting your $500. They're getting four zones. So you're getting full price on an ad. Plus, you're setting yourself up to charge $1,000, the price that you really want to sell on future ones, because they understand that each one is worth $250. I hope that makes sense. Email me if it doesn't. We're going to go to the next one, which is split extensions.